Hi there, RussDouglas222 here. Hopefully the sound will be better on this. I'm trying to speak up a bit. My current studio is limited to my spare bedroom and mobile phone on a cheap selfie stick. So hopefully this will be a little bit better audio for you all. So first of all, this is an intro video for my channel. I should have done one before now, I guess. But first of all, big thank you to all my subscribers and everyone who offers support by comments or by emails, following my Airgun World articles or my videos, my existing videos. Thank you very much. You make it all very worthwhile. I'll try and keep answering any questions you've all got, and if I don't get back to you, if I say I'll get back to you and I forget to, just remind me. I've got a big dent in my head and it's a great excuse having a terrible memory. So yeah, why RussDouglas222? Maybe RND222 or Trigger222 might be catchier. But first of all, my channel name is my name because that's what's obviously on all my magazine articles. The 222. That's the number of days I spent in hospital nearly 17 years ago, starting then, after I broke my neck. I've got a fair few scars. There's one here, there's the obvious one on the back of my head, and I've got a big dent in the top of my head from where I had a depressed compound fractured skull. I'm covered in scars from where they took bone grafts from, yeah, you name it. But fortunately, touch wood, there's I'm still with you all, and I'm going to try and keep producing videos that are of interest to you and articles that are of interest. So I've got notes below here, so excuse me if I glance down occasionally. So I've had a lifelong love of shooting. I've just always enjoyed it. From the back garden, with my first pistol was a 2.2 Webley Tempest, and firing darts. Yeah, I know. Steel darts at my apples hanging up from my mum's apple tree at about 10-15 meters, which were like traces in the sunshine. From there onto, actually from there, I then got a Crossman 1322 pistol, and several years later, like nearly 30 years later, here's another one. This one was given to me by a colleague at work a few years ago when the Scottish airgun licensing was coming in, and he didn't want to get a license. This had been in his loft gathering dust and a little bit of tarnish, and he said, "Oh, we heard I'd started writing the articles, so he offered it to me for a good home." Thanks again, mate. So a lot of fun, fair bit of exercise, and you're pumping this thing up, but I'll include a photo around about here of the same me with the same pistol, aged about 14, in my mum and dad's back garden. And my dad came out, saw what I was doing, came out and took a photo, and I stuck my baseball cap and my mirror shades on. Yeah, sorry, what things you do when you're 14, the things you think are cool. But it was great fun, and so I started with back garden plinking. When I went to university, moved on to paintball, and I'll include a photo of my old paintball kit, which was a pair of semi-auto. Eventually, just before I finished playing, was had improved to the point where it was a pair of semi-automatic Tippmann Pro-Am paintball guns. Paintball's 6.68 caliber. A lot of fun, running around the woods, getting one with nature, and stepping in all sorts of stuff, and chasing your mates around, shooting each other. A lot of fun. Yeah, so after university, I came up to Aberdeen, started working offshore as an engineering surveyor, and I wanted to get, in my rare moments of not working, I wanted to get back into shooting. So I found the Bonaccord Rifle Club, which coincidentally is at Denwood Range in Countess Wells Road, which is the same range where my current club, Grampian Air Rifle Club, GARC. Hi to everyone from GARC. It's the same club, same sort of club grounds and clubhouse and indoor and outdoor range that I now shoot on. So that's that was my next sort of venture into shooting, and I progressed. Oh, must mention my lifelong love of bullpups. I'll include a photo here of my first bullpup. It was a Daystate Huntsman Mk2 in a bullpup stock from B&M Mods in Leek near Staffordshire, and a lot of fun. And I didn't get to use it an awful lot because I was always working offshore, but did way too much work back then. But yeah, that was a lot of fun, but it was a heck of a heavyweight rifle. Nothing compared to the modern lighter bullpups I now prefer. But excuse me, this was intended for field target shooting, which I had a dabble with, but I was never around. I was always working. After that, I moved on to got myself a lightweight Air Arms S200 and started some amateur pest control with my ex-wife's family. Had a cousin had a farm, so yeah. Got my first couple of hat tricks. I'll include 1 or 2 photos of that. My first efforts at rabbits pest control, and then not too long later I moved up to a Theban Rapid Mk2. So the Rapid Mk2 version of the Rapid, the original Rapid 7. This was in .20 caliber. Excellent rifle. And I'll include a photo of a couple of 15-litre buckets of rats that it accounted for on a few busy nights. And the rats were later in 2002. Then I had my accident and broke my neck. So that was me. I thought, no more shooting for me. It was difficult enough to crawl across fields when you're 6'4" and it's like a daddy long legs sort of thing. And the rabbits saw me coming a mile away and ran. Oh, by the way, I had applied for my firearms license then to buy a small bore rifle. I was going to get a CZ452 if I remember rightly. And I had the gun safe bolted to the gable end up in the loft, and it was all secured, ready for a police inspection. And then I had a car crash and broke my neck. I'll include a link below to my earliest Flickr album, which is actually my sort of spinal injury story. And it's just a sequence of 24 photos from Christmas 17 years ago up till 7 months later when I got out of hospital. Hence the 222 number of days in hospital. So hope that's of interest to you anyway. Things you go through. So these days, anything that happens, I've been through worse. So, you know, onwards and upwards. There are good days and bad days, but I've been through worse. Excuse me. So about 12, 14 years after my accident, I was actually feeling a bit more mobile. And I thought, maybe I can get behind a trigger after all. So I did some research and had discovered Grampian Air Rifle Club but hadn't attended yet. And then I heard about the impending Scottish airgun licensing. Yeah, don't go there. Stupid idea. Very little benefit, very little benefit to the public because the laws are already in place. But hey, it happened. I couldn't stop it. So I also, by the way, wrote a few articles for Airgun World. The effect licensing has had on us shooters, the effect it's had on our gun shops, and and a follow-on article, a follow-on video I'll be doing is airsoft. So one option for Scottish shooters who decide they don't want an airgun license, they could take up airsoft. That can be a lot of fun, those sorts of guns. Then in June of 2017, I bought a SIG MCX, the longer barreled version. I wanted MPX, but I got the MCX from Blackpool Air Rifles. I'll pop a photo of Lloyd from Blackpool Air Rifles. Hi Lloyd. I bought one of those and I was reading, I'd always read Airgun World, and I'd even read it on and off during the 14 years I hadn't been shooting. When I was getting over, getting used to being disabled, and I assumed it wasn't for me anymore. Assumed it wasn't possible. But I started getting interested in it again, and with the impending licensing, I joined Grampian Air Rifle Club. I started shooting again. Basically reacquainted myself with the joy of getting my finger back behind a trigger. I've always found shooting very relaxing. Very challenging as well, because you've got the breathing, the relaxation, the trigger control, follow through, everything else that goes with it. All very challenging, but very, very enjoyable and very relaxing. So I was chuffed to bits to get back shooting again. Had the very relevant background checks, health checks, etc., and got back behind the trigger. A lot of fun. But when I had the SIG MCX, I emailed Terry, editor of Airgun World. Hi Terry, hi team. Offered to write an article as a one-off on the SIG MCX. But we got chatting on Messenger, and he asked if I could write an article as being a disabled shooter. That was the first one, and it's gone on from there. So that was June 2017, and each article I've written since then, I've then, because there's only so much room in the magazine for photos, so each article I've done since then, I've put all the photos submitted and extras there wasn't room for in the magazine. I've put them into a Flickr album for each article, and I'm going to continue doing that as I write for more and more magazines, hopefully. A year or two later, feeling a little bit more mobile, well, sort of highs and lows, 2 steps forward, 2 steps back sort of thing. But I started pest control, and I was driving past, on my way to work every day, I was driving past a farm regularly that had a livery business, and I saw rabbits out of control, loads and loads of rabbits in the fields, in the paddocks, and I thought that's going to be a real hazard for the farmer. Popped in, introduced myself, took along a copy of the magazine. There was no camo gear, no rifle in my hand, just introduced myself, explained do's and don'ts, explained my knowledge of the airgun law and safety and such like, boundaries, respecting livestock, property, all this sort of stuff. And I got my first permission. So I then said to Terry, would you be okay if your disabled contributor became a disabled pest controller contributor? I think his reaction, he was on holiday with his family at the time, and I think his reaction was, I'm going to have a mojito to celebrate. I think that's a yes. On from there, I've got a couple of permissions, a handful of permissions locally, and I do now have a firearms certificate finally. I reapplied, and sort of 16 odd years later after the original application, got my firearms license purely for a couple of rimfire rifles, just to extend the range slightly, for 2.2 rimfire and 1.7 HMR, just to extend the range for rabbits in open areas where I just can't get close enough to shoot them, even with FAC air rifle. It's not going too badly, but a lot of my permissions are sort of confined enough that it's air rifle only, really. You've got to always have a safe backstop, and you've got to bear in mind if you're overlooked in the distance from public areas. Some areas are not firearm friendly. Right, so, and then I thought, I'm going to create a channel. I'm going to see if I can have a go at this YouTube malarkey. That was nearly a year ago, mid-December last year. My plan is to continue to review kit. Hopefully soon I'll be back uploading more pest control videos. I've had a temporary, hopefully temporary hiatus from that. I've got some problems in my hip that turns out to be my kidney. I had a CT scan last week, and hopefully they can fix whatever's wrong soon, and I can get back out and about, because yeah, I'm managing with painkillers at the moment, which is not ideal. But right, video wise, please comment below anything you'd like me to see me cover with videos, whether it's pest control, air rifles, accessories. And before I forget, one last thing I just wanted to make clear is I wanted to say I am 100% independent, no sponsorship by anybody, and even if I was offered any sponsorship at any point, don't know if that'll ever happen, I'll only accept it if I'm allowed to remain independent. So you'll get my honest opinions, and those of any people I work with, for example, like Bruce, hi Bruce, Night Vision Guru, and I'll put a link down below to the Night Vision Forum, Airgun Forum, and Airgun BBS as well, although I don't spend much time on those so much. I haven't seen much Night Vision chat on there. But just want you to know that what you'll hear is honest, independent opinions and reviews, and not swayed by anything. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe and like. Thank you.